Or what was the story?
So a guy told me it was 5 minutes away for ice cream, and then it was longer than 5 minutes, and we never even got ice cream. So like what happened, right, is that he asked me out on a date, and I wasn't interested, but I was like, okay, like whatever, like obviously expand your horizons, whatever it is. We went on a date, and then I don't know what he had. I don't really, whatever. I had a latte. And this is like an example of like, I tried to pay and he just grabbed my wrist and we were like fighting in the cafe, like about who's going to pay. But he ended up paying. Mm-hmm. And then after he was done, he's like, oh, do you want to grab ice cream? And I was like, oh, like, it's kind of like, we've been sitting here for like an hour, 2 hours, like maybe another time. And he's like, no, just, ooh.
Daniel donated $200. I just got back from Cuba and glad to have whatever podcast back. To sunny days and crazy debates.
It's not sunny in Cuba. I hope you enjoyed your time in Cuba, man. Thank you. Appreciate it. Go ahead.
Thanks, Daniel. So he's like, it's 5 minutes away, and he told me like where it was. This is in Australia, by the way. No one will know where it is. But I was like, okay, no worries. We got in his car, and as we were driving, it was like 5 minutes past, and we were going nowhere in the direction of the ice cream place. And I was like, oh, like whatever, maybe it's another one. It was like, time was ticking. It was 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour, not even. It was 2 hours. We're in the car, and then he goes, oh, you have time, right? And I was like, surely now I do. Anyways, he took me to like this abandoned forest. I don't know where I was. And then he was like to me, oh, how do you, like, we're just talking in the car, like conversating, asking questions, deep and meaningful, emotional, whatever. But we weren't really aligned. Like, he kept saying, oh, I really hate people. Like, I would never do anything for everyone. And I was like, the complete opposite. Like, I would do everything for anyone. Like, it's part of the love aspect that I have for people, friends, family, like I said before. And I just really was not aligning with him. Like, it was just not working. And then he just randomly said to me, oh, like, is there going to be another date? And I was like, oh, I don't think so. And then he braked in the middle of nowhere, and he's like, what the hell do you mean I'm not gonna have another date? And I thought I was gonna die. Murdered. I was actually so scared, but then I lied, and I was like, I don't mean to lie, but at the moment of time I was like, you know what, like, we never know what the future holds. Like, you know, there could be a possibility out there for us. And then he drove me home, and as I was drove me back to my car, and as I was getting out of the car, he was still driving while the door, and I wasn't even out. Like, it was just a crazy experience.
Was he a bogan?
That's scary. Was he a what?
A bogan.
You know what that is?
Yep.
Oh, no way. Yeah, he was.
You went on an ice cream date with a bogan?
You know what? Like, I didn't want to.
She was desperate for some ice cream.
I give everyone like a chance. You need to get to know someone before you make a judgment, you know? Bogan, I can't believe you know what that is.
What is that? I'm well-traveled.
Oh, see, it's like a
I'm well-traveled.
Like,
it's like a redneck kind of,
yeah.
Right?
Oh my God, you know what a redneck is?
Well, that's
redneck is here.
Oh, is that what you guys call that?
Wait, that's very common.
Oh, sorry, I didn't know. That's so weird.
Now, you also wanted to talk about acceptable age range. So are you talking like age gap relationships?
Age gap, yeah, because I know the whole, like for me personally, I would never want to date anyone who's under the age of 20, just because I feel like it feels so like terrible and wrong. But I feel like once you get older, age kind of starts getting lost. Like, I feel like there are so many people who are around my age, like 24, who are dating like older people, like 36 and stuff like that.
Sure.
And I just want to know, like, what does everyone consider as their acceptable age range, I guess? Yeah.
Let's just maybe start off. Does anybody here get the ick from age gap relationships? Assuming they're both adults here.
Depends how big the gap is. I know, like, it's legally, you know, but
how about 35-25? Let's start there. Does that give you the ick? Anybody? Any icks there?
No, I'm 25. My husband's 33, so it's pretty close.
Okay. What about 30-20? Ick? No ick?
Not yet.
It gives me the ick now, but when I was 20, I was dating a 38-year-old.
Yeah. I'm glad you said that.
Thank you for saying that.
I'm glad you said that. Because a lot of women forget that.
When I look at that relationship, and I'm like, dude, you couldn't even drink. Like, at least go for a girl who you can buy a cocktail for legally.
What if he doesn't drink?
Well, even better.
There you go. Okay. Yeah, I guess if a woman wants to date an older younger man, in either direction, that's fine. Both adults.
Yeah,
You're
both
adults,
adults, but
whatever.
definitely get icky vibes from if it's like too big. The age gap's too big.
I'm just curious, like, what's the...
Huh?
How big is too big?
What are we talking
Probably
about?
more
Age
than
gap.
like, probably more than like 12 years.
Okay. That's
I want to hear
Yeah.
from anybody here who... I mean, some of you haven't really been vocal on this.
Yeah.
But
12 was like,
for those of you who would give the ick, let's say like a 30-year-old with a 19-year-old, something like that.
that's criminal.
Not
What?
technically in
Not
America.
technically. Not
It
technically.
sounds
Yeah.
criminal though. It's under the age of 20. Like, do they even know what they like? If like, are their morals, are their ethics, or what they want in life aligned?
Well, they are adults, and if they can legally enter a contract, they can take out student loans that will indebt them for the rest of their life, racking up 6 figures of student loan debt. They can join the military and go die in some overseas conflict. What else can you do at
But
that
that
age?
19-year-old probably doesn't even know any better. I'm going to be honest, because they're going into college. Like,
Should a 19-year-old be allowed to do sex work? Should a 19-year-old woman be allowed to start an OnlyFans?
I mean, like, I'm not going to judge anyone for what they want to do. I mean, I personally wouldn't think so, but I don't know what the legalities are here.
Well, okay, so it's the age of consent is 18 in
Right.
the United States.
Okay.
I think on the federal level, there's some states where
It's a lot of states where it's 16,
it's lower,
17,
but at the
yeah.
federal level, my understanding is that it's 18. So okay, but the example I gave was 30 and then 19. I would be curious to hear from anybody who does think it's, besides it just giving you the ick, can anybody actually make an argument for how it's wrong?
No,
I think
just
it's
it.
weird for
That's it.
somebody. I think it's bizarre.
That's the ick.
No.
Make
if
an
the
argument.
prefrontal cortex is undeveloped.
I'm pretty sure that's fake news.
No, it isn't. No, it isn't.
I'm pretty sure
My
that
dad's a neuroscience
prefrontal
major.
cortex
It
is
is
bullshit.
not.
I'm
My
pretty
dad's
sure
a
it's bullshit.
It's not
neuroscience
bullshit,
major.
Brian.
It
It's
is
not
not
bullshit.
bullshit.
Is it
real?
So
I thought it was. I heard it was bullshit.
But in its defense, though, it's decision making, judgment, executive functioning, those things, and you can make the argument that dating has more so to do with emotion and sexual attraction, which is a completely different part of the brain. It would just be essentially them making decisions where we don't really make good decisions in dating regardless. 45-year-olds still make terrible decisions when it comes to the partners that they choose. So I don't really agree with the prefrontal cortex being a valid argument, because it has more to do with just overall executive functioning and decision making, and attraction is really illogical and irrational a lot of
Wait,
times.
and is this for the prefrontal cortex? I'm assuming you're arguing that it's for both men and women. Right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Both men and women?
Yeah.
Okay, so then should we raise the voting age to 25?
I would have to look more into.
What do you mean? You already have the data. The prefrontal cortex isn't fully developed until 25.
Yeah, but I actually did think that it affected more emotional as well. So I don't have.
You're not wrong, but I don't think it has a substantial effect on dating outcomes. It will more so be
I
able.
don't know.
It's more so gauging long-term consequences of your actions, and that's what I'm saying in dating, because it's so attraction based and it's so emotionally based. It's hard to determine what, you know what I'm saying, like the
I don't
decisions you
think-
would make.
I don't think so, because I think that when an much older man pursues a woman with the lack of those abilities to make sound decisions and emotional intelligence, and really is just running off of, I don't know.
But why would that only be dating though? She's subjected to having to make adult decisions everywhere else in life. That's why he said voting, college debt, a whole bunch of things that you gauge long-term consequences. Okay, what's my
Military.
outlook look like if I do this? What are the consequences? What are the risks? What are the ramifications? If you
I
can
don't
make
feel
a
like it would hurt to delay voting to 25.
Wait, so, and just to be clear, you framed it like when it's an older man dating a younger woman, do you have the same objection when it's an same age
Yes,
woman dating a younger man?
100%.
Although it tends to be a bit more rare. So I'm trying to think.